I also thought about this as I've done a little digging on Labor Day, right? We want to break this down, the workforce and what we all live in. I think most of our lives revolve around the job. It's really a necessary evil probably in this world. Costs free country, costs a lot of money to live here. So what I thought about as I've dug into this is a better question than celebrating what our contributions to America is, which is all great. And I don't want to devalue that. But I think what's most important to everyone, what's more important is my job and the work that I'm doing. Is it contributing to my family, right? Is my job worth celebrating for the contribution that it is making to my family, which is the direct impact on the life that I'm living in this country? And that's not an easy question for a lot of people to answer.
It's not. And David, when I think about that, I immediately go back to, if any of our listeners have listened to some of our first podcasts, I think about before we got into insurance. And for those of you that don't know, David was a golf professional working 70, 80 hours a week. And so he would be there from, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. A lot of times wouldn't get home till after 10 p.m. And I was a boutique owner at the time, making no money, working 5-6 days a week. And I think and when you ask that, I think about how grateful I am in this moment to be in insurance because of what it's been able to do, not only for our family, but for us, and what we've been able to give back to the community, what we've been able to, provide our children with private education, taking them to school, and really be involved in their lives. And if we were still in those roles of PGA professional and boutique owner, we wouldn't be able to do those things.
No, we wouldn't. No, we wouldn't. As my mother reminded me that of some complaining I may have been doing recently. And, it's kind of that, what do they say? Rich people problems, not to quote unquote that, but, it's problems that we're dealing with today that frankly, yes, if we were in that past life, we wouldn't even have those problems, So, I did a little digging. I did some fact finding. I want to just talk because we used to live in this world. And if you think about real world, where we're at by the numbers. So our average, these are just coming off of the internet, different various sources, Gallup, Deloitte, a lot of research. Household incomes today, $66,000. Right. Federal Reserve data says a median personal income is $42,200.
Wow.
Okay. So is that worth celebrating? Well, let me tell you what it says about a family of 4 and what it takes for you to live. Just the average cost of living for a family of 4 is $101,000. Right. And so here's what I found was even wilder, and that is we're talking about housing, food, childcare, gas, transportation, healthcare, our favorite word, taxes, and then you had a very small amount of money spent towards lifestyle. And their summary of lifestyle was clothing, in entertainment, like going to the movies, to spend $100 to take your kids to the movies, if that's still something that you do. So think about that. Let's look back at that. 66 grand is what an average household makes. So that's 2 people working. Like you said, both of us spending that time away from the family, on average, not to make enough to live, which you all have heard us talk about and speak to the average debt that America creates and has when they pass. These numbers show you that as the why, right? So here's something we talk about too, Lindsey, because money is one thing. We say time and money. That's life's equation. Mm-hmm. Yes, it does cost a lot to live in this country. We do have to make money, but if I work my life away and I never get to enjoy it, then what good is it? But look at this. So of the workforce. Of the workforce right now, 51% are looking for a new job. So is your job worth celebrating? Half the people say, heck no, I'm looking for another one. 52% of the workforce are what they call, as I like this, walking zombies. And I sometimes wish I had a job like this, like a mindless job. I can just wake up, show up, be there, clock in, clock out, get paid. But I'd probably be the 51% looking for another job. So 52 people are showing up just to go through the motions, and they're living a mindless day. You know what I mean? How much time do we spend at work?
On autopilot, right? I mean, I just think about sometimes when you're driving, and especially if you have certain routes and routines, and if, hey, maybe practice is on the other side of town instead of the other end, and you're not really thinking about it, you go your same route and you're like, you get halfway there and you're like, where the heck am I going? I'm not going the right direction. Right. And so, I mean, when you think about a walking zombie or someone who's on autopilot, and that's really time to do self-reflection, right? Take a moment, am I really happy, or I'm really getting joy or return on what it is that I'm looking to achieve?
Yeah, that's a tough question. Like I said, these questions may not be easy and fun to address with yourself, because here's the one that I don't like the most. And that is that 39% of people felt that no one cared for them at their work, right? That nobody cared. So, I mean, just imagine the emotional effect. I mean, I think we see it. I think we see the emotional effect that has on people every day. If you're somebody that plugs into the news and catches the crazy that's out there. But I guess the better question, knowing all this, right? Knowing that success comes after work, right? And we spend, I don't know, I didn't do the digging on how much time of our life we spend at work, the average American, but I know it's more than half of your life is spent at work. Knowing what the data says, knowing what the averages are, how do I separate myself from that?
And if you like that clip, make sure to like and subscribe to more of our content.